This is the Art Zone. This is the Art Zone.
Since 1991, ArtZone has been the definitive video document of the arts and artists in the Rockford area. This is a special edition of the ArtZone featuring a video retrospective of the creative people, places, and events that take you into the ArtZone.
Hi, I'm Doc Slavkowski, and this is the Art Zone. We're coming to you from J.R. Cortman's Center for Design downtown in the heart of Rockford's Cultural District, and also on a cool November evening. We have a special edition of the Art Zone. We've taken highlights from Art Zones of the past to show you tonight. We've put them all together in one show in celebration of the fact that Art Zones are now available at the Rockford Public Library for you to check out on your library card. So if there's an Art Zone from the past that you've missed or you would like to see one again, you can now check them out at the downtown branch of the Rockford Public Library. So once again, check out the show tonight. Welcome to the Art Zone. This is the Art Zone, and we're coming to you from J.R. Cortman's Center for Design, downtown Rockford. Hi, I'm Doc Slavkowski, and this is the Art Zone. We're coming to you from the heart of the city's cultural district, downtown Rockford. And I'm Doc Slavkowski, and this is the Art Zone. We're coming to you from J.R. Cortman's Center for Design in the heart of Rockford's cultural district. And we're just across the way from New American Theater. This Art Zone will take you to the home and studio of former curator of the Rockford Art Museum, Peter Baldaya, said that Charlene Berg is well known in the Rockford arts community as a master framer and partner in Gallery 10. We'll show you an interview with the artist from his Chicago studio. Then we'll see video highlights of the Rockford Art Museum's opening for Dan Guston. Dennis Horton was at Cortman Gallery for the opening night and covered it for the Art Zone. We'll also hear from Art Zone's Dave Cleveland as he takes us on a tour of Art on Saturdays downtown. What's the relationship between graphic design, a Cortman Gallery exhibition, and a Pez machine?
Some galleries can be maybe a little bit intimidating. You know, you feel like you have to know about the art or be able to talk about it, or it's very expensive. So a lot of galleries can be very intimidating. Gallery 10, and I think your gallery at Cortman's too, you can just go and be comfortable, meet the artist, and buy something. And I think too at the gallery we have pieces that range from, you know, $50 to $5,000, so you don't have to make a really huge investment. And I think a lot of people are of the misunderstanding that all original art is very expensive.
Okay, I'm going to grow up and I'm going to get a job and I'm going to settle down. I'm going to give up this art stuff because it's a pain, and I'm going to get on with what, you know, my dad would want me to do, or whatever the thing is that I need to do it.
And we were a pretty tight group in college. We like to stir things up and kind of get things going. I think we all kind of work on our own, but there is a lot of energy between us, especially for the first show we had here. There was an incredible amount of energy. Everyone just gave 100%.
I think that fashion and art are one-in-one in the sense of you're creating something and you know, you're putting on a human form, which is, you know, your display case. You know, it's what you want to, this is how you're presenting yourself, right? And whether it's something that's completely artistic or it's a black jacket, it's still a display. You're creating something like this. As far as my illustrations go with art, you know, illustration was killed out when photography came in. You know, no longer were you having huge illustrations in vogue. You're having photography. You know, and I think that illustration should come back. It's an art.
We come from two different points of view, though. I'm a big, you know, a color person with big smashes of color, and he's a line and a detail person. And so if we were to collaborate, which we have done, we really do very well because we're very
Well, you did that chair,
yeah,
that famous chair. That was
Right.
It was in like in a national publication, wasn't it?
that was his deal.
That
yeah.
was in Architecture Magazine, which is a national AIA publication in 1987. And that's something that we did together. I designed the chair, and then some of the finishing touches we worked together on.
You appear here as a human Pez machine. What is your connection with Pez?
You mean there's a connection?
Well, there's such a love-hate relationship in Rockford about the symbol, and when I originally was wanting to do a Rockford piece, I thought the symbol is very recognizable, but there are so many people who hate it, and then there are other people who love it. So I want to do it in a different way where the people who hated it maybe would like it a little more, and it would make it a little bit more interesting.
Well, there's some power in taking the television images out of context, either in a photographic image and putting it on canvas, or taking sound bites and working with the sound or working with the imagery and video and putting that out of context and putting it in a gallery. And because art, you're supposed to think about, television, you sit down in front of a TV, you don't think. So, it's that twist where you're thinking about it.
My show is about people. It just so happens that all these people come up to the cafe because I like shooting or seeing the uniqueness of every individual, and that's mainly what my photographs are about everyone is unique and different and beautiful in their own way. It just so happens that all these people happen up at the cafe, and I like that. I like shooting there because the diversity that it draws.
I dream a lot and come up with ideas that way, and I'm always very anxious to get working on a new piece.
I didn't start out to make this piece. I had something completely different in mind, started working on it, had completely different materials and processes, and just gravitated to this. I don't know, probably because of the kind of the comic book sort of look to the whole thing, and I just couldn't help myself. I really had a blast making it, so it was just a lot of fun, and I laughed a lot when I was making it. Fair enough.
I can get so much done in 10 minutes with water and paint, and it's just flying like mad. It's just like, that's the really fun part. I mean, I think that's when I'm being the most creative, is when I'm backing off and letting the paint do some of the work, too.
You have also applied your watercolor technique to silk scarves.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, it was a really natural transition because when you apply paint to a wet surface, it spreads all over the place. So when you apply dyes to a fabric surface, it does the same thing. It bleeds like mad. And so it was a very easy transition for me to start to apply dyes onto fabric.
I am also working on the second leg. In fact, this second leg was worked on at the same time as the first one. They were both in the standing position, so I did have the relationship of the two legs together. I have now just removed this leg from the base so that it'd be easier to do some of the final welding in the horizontal position.
Gene Horvath, one of Rockford's best-known and best-loved sculptors, died on Friday, April 14, 1995. His creative legacy lives on in a collection of public sculptures throughout the city of Rockford and beyond. The ArtZone would like to present this video tribute to Mr. Horvath by showing you some of his works that have become landmarks on the cultural landscape of Rockford.
And I've always by nature been very slow. I'm really meticulous, and it's something that I've worked to, well, it's something that I've accepted as a part of myself, but something I've also worked to kind of work through, because I tended to get really wrapped up in details and it wasn't helping my work necessarily. So working in the newspaper business, when I first did my internship and I told my friends that I was working at the newspaper and told them the deadlines, it was like they were all laughing at me because I used to be the one, running into the critique, with my painting 3/4 finished and stuff. So.
But I think if you buy things, not so much because of price, because the price, you can buy it cheaply or whatever. You buy things because you really like it, maybe it's a little more expensive than you want to spend, but if you really like it, then you always get to live with it. I mean, if you're buying something because you like the price of it, that only feels good when you're paying for it, but then you got to live with it the rest of your life. But if you buy things and you're buying them because you really like them, then you'll enjoy them forever.
Some things are perceived to be more creative than others, and I'm not sure that I believe that's true. I think we all have certain gifts and talents that we can pursue and excel in. I think one of the problems that I've always had is not being able to pick which one I prefer, and that's why it's lucky for me to have this little hobby band that we play with, and it's lucky for me to be able to do a show like I just did with you at Cortman's. Because there are those other things that I think I should be doing too.
Art for art's sake. Art for art's sake. Art for art's sake. Art for art's sake. Money for Doc's sake.
Well, I don't know much about art, but I know what I like.
And?
And I like this.
Cool. Thank you.
It's always interesting to come here for the shows. It's always unique. A lot of great artists here, and it's just it's always something different. And the only problem is that one only has so much wall space.
Is there any particular piece here that strikes you?
No, I just usually walk around and look. There's one piece around the corner. I have a tendency, because of my eyes, to like the larger pieces.
Okay.
I don't see as well as I used to.
Okay. Thanks. Good.
Wait, take two.
I watch ArtZone.
Hi, I'm Laura Brandt. I'm the Executive Director of the Rockford Central Area Corporation, and I watch ArtZone.
You're watching the ArtZone.
Don't zone out, because you're zoned in to the Art Zone.
Добрый день, меня зовут Жукова Татьяна. Я из Москвы, из России. Сейчас мы находимся в Греции, на острове Торос. И мы с вами смотрим передачу The Art Zone.
Is there any connection between your interest in Pez collecting to your art?
No.
Say that because the house does retain a lot of the characteristics of an old Victorian house, but at the same time you feel very modern when you're in here. I mean, you don't feel like you're necessarily taking a step back in time. It's more of being in the present and having an appreciation for what was.
And it's living with the old as a contemporary thing. I mean, just because it's old doesn't mean it's outdated, and just because it's old doesn't mean it needs to be a museum either. It's still livable, it's still alive, and it's still part of us. And we don't really own this house. We're just taking care of it until the next person comes along, and we kind of feel that about it too. So.
Well, let's talk about the space though, because that's just being here and being in this environment. It really does seem conducive to creativity, and this is nice of us for the Art Zone to be in the artist space, because a lot of times we don't have the opportunity to do that. But tell us a little bit about this building, and do you feel like just the fact that even that you're downtown that helps, just being?
Well, I think that helps, because I think a building like this is easily overlooked in our community, which is a good thing for me, because I wanted to find a place like this. It's a bad thing in some ways, because buildings like this are being allowed to fall apart and be destroyed. And it's a simple place. I mean, it's just a big brick building, simple structure, but it's big and open and clean.
Do you have a big house?
No, we have a little bungalow. Just a little
It's getting smaller and smaller.
What about living in a loft though? What's the experience like? I mean, obviously, like you said, you came from the east side. You probably both grew up in more of a suburban environment, and you're both adults. Switching, usually it's the opposite. Younger people live in lofts and then move to the suburbs, and you guys are from the suburbs moving into the city. And what is it like? Is it fun?
You want to ask him first.
Very spacious. As a matter of fact, whenever I go into a suburban home now, I feel like the ceiling is falling on my head. But I always wanted to live in a place other than a typical home, and I still even have interest, we both do, in turning something into a living space that wasn't ever meant for that. Anywhere from a gas station to a firehouse to a garage.
We have all the privacy of home. We have our own piece of the sky here, and I'd never go back to a regular house.
That a lot of people do get a chance to see the exterior of these buildings downtown, but they don't realize that usually with an interesting facade, or just like the area that we're sitting in here, also makes for interesting interior rooms. None of the rooms here are just like boxes. They all have interesting nooks and crannies in it, and the way you've created the atmosphere, it's perfect for showing art.
I think each little area is its own little room, you know. So there isn't really, I don't think, you know, some people like to have a focal point when they go into a room. It's like this is the sofa-sized painting, but I like little vignettes. I think you know, that are just really wherever you are in a room. That's where you.
Are we getting all this?
Oh, you're kidding! I didn't know we were. That's great.
Do you have an architectural background, or?
Not at all.
I'm of the opinion sometimes it's even just as nice to get a negative response than to get a positive response always. In the fact that if you provoke someone to feel something, that they either really love your work or really hate your work, you've done something.
I don't know. I feel as an artist, or anybody that wants to get something out there and have people react to them, that whatever type of exhibit you can do or publicity, anything is positive for you. Whether they like it or whether they don't like it. I mean, as long as people are talking, it's cool with me.
I don't ask that people embrace my work or fall in love with it, or I just hope that there is a reaction, whether it be positive or negative. I think that's the most important thing, that it, you know, touches people's senses, that it helps them look at life differently. I've always felt that the art should be able to stand on its own and to communicate its message on its own. And I'm really interested in seeing what people make of these illustrations, what stories they derive from it, or what feelings, because I find that, you know, that different people, depending on who they are, get different things from your work, and that's interesting. So, yeah, I'm not too afraid of criticism or anything like that. I would just like a strong reaction of any sort.
I don't know that I really care so much what people think of it as, you know, is this successful? As long as you get some sort of reaction, if you get people thinking, that's what's important for people to think.
I think it's very interesting. The textures and the colors are kind of unique. Some of the works are really texturized, and it's just very interesting.
I think seeing both of their styles, I see how they interact one upon the other, because I see in some of these paintings of Lewis's that they've incorporated some of the techniques that Zoe uses in her work. Placing animal heads on human bodies and that sort of thing was something that I thought she did more than he did.
The thing I'm enjoying the most, though, right now is he's using these bold strokes of color, big bands, and bold background colors, but underneath there's so much action going on in the coat that's set back.
Well, first of all, I didn't know what to expect, but looking at the show, it's great. Really interesting, creative things.
It's pretty exciting to see. I haven't had much time to look. It's a typical art opening. I'm socializing more than I'm looking at the work, so I'll have to come back.
I think it's great. I really love it. I'm really drawn to all the paintings that have black frames.
I like the lines that Michael has, and I like the colors. I think they're very vivid. I feel comfortable with the art, and I'd love some of it in my home.
I want this outfit. No, I don't want to look exactly like that, but I just want to come real close. No, it's great. And whoever did these prints is a genius.
What do you think about working art openings?
Oh, it's great.
Why is that?
Because there's a lot of different people that come up here that don't normally come up here, and you get to see people that you don't always get to see.
Well, I am a staff member, and I like the art usually, like this art in particular is good. Working art openings isn't my preference. I think I would rather work at a regular evening, but
this is the Art Zone.
I really don't think about other people.
My kid could have done this.
Is it illegal?
No, it's not illegal at all. So, as far as I'm concerned.
If you can't paint good, paint big.
Exactly,
Okay,
yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
You like it, you buy it.
You know, I think kind of going back to the Rockford School question, I think a lot of the people that are here and spend the time and energy to do art in Rockford, where to some degree there's maybe not that payoff, there's maybe not a ton of galleries, there's not somebody's just going to come in and spend a lot of money on your work. Those people are people that they have to be creative, they have to do their artwork, and that you can do that anywhere. Some people need to go to be in let's say a larger art scene like New York or Chicago or LA or wherever that is. That's appropriate for some people, and if that's appropriate for some person, I think they should go do that. But I don't think people should be think that they have to do that. If you have that feeling, you can do that anywhere.
I think a lot of the things that are happening here with the artists and the arts in this community are just phenomenal. Every time I leave Rockford and go elsewhere, and I go to galleries and go to museums, I'm always sort of pleased in the fact that the things that we as a collective do in Rockford sometimes is just as good, if not better, than the things that I see elsewhere.
Well, I think the art world in Rockford has really come into its own, and I'd like to say that I had a part in that. I really think that the last 10 years have seen the arts on the map in Rockford. I really think that has happened, and I don't take full credit for that. I take credit for the fact that there was some forums that were started in this neighborhood, and there is so much wonderful talent in just this neighborhood in the downtown area that's coming to be, and people are hearing about it in Madison and Chicago and LA and Milwaukee, and they're coming for these openings, and I really think that artists have to put their work out there, and if they don't have a forum, they can't put it out there.
But there was that whole conservative thing about this town that we were out to prove was wrong. Because, we had friends who left here as soon as they could. That's all they talked about. What are you going to do when you leave Rockford? And we were going to say, no, bullshit. You can do something here. Which theater should be. Theater needs to get into people's face. It's not TV. You can smell the sweat. You can see the perspiration. You can feel the tension. I mean, it's not like TV. It needs and acknowledges presence and witness of audience. So a good play isn't about one thing. It's about a lot of things at once. And you don't have to get everything, to be absorbed by it. That's why a great play you can see again and again, because there's always something new to it. It's like if you do see a great painting in a museum, if you look at one of Rembrandt's studies, you don't look at it just once. You come back to it again and again, seeing new things in it because you've changed. You even change just by looking at it.
Is this what you envisioned?
Yes.
So it is that?
Yes. You can't do it unless you believe that it will be that. That people who say it can't are wrong, that they just don't get it or don't know, and they need some help. and you have to believe that it can be what you think it can be. When you begin to lose faith in that, then it won't be. You have to be able to envision it as this. I never doubted that the New American Theater could be a first-class professional operation in Rockford, Illinois. Not once.
Maybe more than Picasso. I think a lot of influence when it came to Picasso. I don't know. But you have Rousseau, you have, Dubuffet that are concentrating on this. But way back, it goes to the 17th century. Recent times, Max Ernst and the Surrealists were very influenced, especially by the Postman Chavel's Palace Ideal outside of Paris. That was in The Shock of the New by Robert Hughes, about 1980, I think, his television series and his book. But there's much more, and much more surfacing.
How about canvas?
Art can make you happy, sad, or mad.
Well, the emotions of art were certainly apparent during the opening for the works of Louis Recchia and Zoa Ace. Okay, so even I blow it.
Dennis Horton was there on opening night to cover the Last Supper show for the... Oh, stop it. And Rockford artist Brent Jones conceived and curated a group artist show entitled The Last Supper. He invited some of Rockford's most accomplished artists to participate in this themed exhibition. Dennis Hortman... Dennis Hortman...
Dennis Horvat.
Then if you're ever on 7th Street and you walk by a door...
Count 5 in your head.
Assuming doorway marked Skoogie. Beyond this door, though, lies an exciting and new artist's gallery and studio. Okay. Doorway marked Skoogie. And beyond that door lies a new and exciting artist studio and gallery. But Skoogie is more than just a gallery. It's almost a movement created by 4 young, creative, young, enthusiastic artists. When on 7th Street, you may pass by a doorway marked Skoogie. Well, beyond this door lies a new and exciting artist studio and gallery called Skoogie.
Start that question over again.
Oh. Bugler, just answer my questions, all right?
God, I hope they can edit these things.
You're doing fine, really, so far, too. It's really good.
You liar.
It brings about, because on television you see the comic and the tragic just, we're barraged with those images, and they're magnified on television. And that's scary because television nowadays is that people watch all the time. I was a TV generation. I grew up, that was my babysitter at times. And I think it's a desensitizing medium. I think it can be used properly, but I think it's not.
Well, thanks for watching the Art Zone. We hope you enjoyed our retrospective of Art Zone's past. And remember, the full-length episodes of all the Art Zones from the past are available to check out with your library card downtown at the main branch of the Rockford Public Library. And if you have any questions or comments about the Art Zone, we'd love to hear from you. Stop in at J.R. Cortman Center for Design downtown at 107 North Main, or give us a call at 968-0123. Once again, thanks for watching the Art Zone. This is the Art Zone. This is the Art Zone.
This is Nancy Froelich speaking for the Art Zone. Art Zone episodes are available on video at the Rockford Public Library downtown. The Art Zone is funded by J.R. Cortman Center for Design and Cafe Esperanto downtown Rockford.
This is the Art Zone. 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 This is the Art Zone.